going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Investing Bros. And today there's just really one simple question. What the heck is going on with Bitcoin? We drop down, then we rally back up, then we drop back down again. In case you guys are not looking at price action before watching this video, Bitcoin once again this morning fell briefly below $60,000. And who knows, at the time of watching this, maybe we're even lower than that right now. But that's what we're going to cover in this video. What is going on with Bitcoin? What should you be expecting next based off of the chaos on the charts, the chaos in the news? There's overwhelming reasons to be bullish, but there are reasons to be bearish as well. So in this video, we're going to be covering that and more. So make sure you go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe. And first, before we get into it, we got to roll that intro. All right. Now, before we get into some of the stories that I want to get into, let's just take a quick look at the chart here. You guys can see, in case you thought I was lying, I wasn't lying. We have a wick this morning, literally about an hour before shooting this video. We did drop to about 59,500. You can see that Bitcoin currently is trading at 60,155. This is a big fall from where we were just 2 days ago when we had the price back up above 63,000. We were kind of flirting with that concept of getting back bullish. And I'll be honest with you, while I took the optimism, the higher high here, and I liked it, I'm not going to lie to you to say that I wasn't surprised. There was a part of me that said, I don't know if we're ready to have a big rally just yet. And of course, we ended up coming back to the downside. So I'm going to do more TA in a couple of minutes here, but I did want to show you the charts. We're going to be taking a look at two articles, taking a look at liquidation levels, and then coming back to the charts and kind of breaking down what the future could hold. Let's start off with, why is Bitcoin dropping right now? There's an article put out this morning. As many of you know, the big blamer is going to be Mt. Gox. I don't know if that's what I really believe it to be, but this is what you're going to see a lot of articles say. Bitcoin slips below 61,000. It could say 60,000 as Mt. Gox repayments loom. Now, I'm not going to get into the Mt. Gox thing here. I'll talk about that here in a second. But there were some things in this article I thought were interesting. So first of all, Bitcoin experienced a notable drop in early Asian trading hours, falling from 62,000 to 60,200. Again, numbers quite not up to date, marking a 3% decline. You're going to see in the article, it kind of talks about the fear about the Mt. Gox exchange expected to begin here in a couple of days. I believe that starts on the 5th. Today's the 3rd. So in 2 days, we could see Mt. Gox repayments start to happen. But what I want you to know from this article, I thought this did a good job of explaining. Despite these concerns, Bitcoin has managed to find support above 60,000. I'll explain that here in a second. While Ethereum remains above 3,300 is a positive sign. Coming back over here, yes, we had a wick come back down to 59.5. Ultimately, though, what I'm watching is, where do daily candles close? And right now, daily candle is still sitting above 60,000 as far as where we're closing. Yes, we have wicks below, but we've had several wicks below during this period. As long as we close the daily candle above 60,000, I do think that that's something that could be, still strong for Bitcoin. And when it comes to Ethereum, yes, we had a wick this morning go down as low as 3,280, so 3,280. But right now we are holding 3,300 at the moment. What does that mean to me? That does mean, I think that at the moment it's too early to be freaking out and be overwhelmingly bearish. I will talk about some price levels that we could go down to in the future if the bearishness continues. But I also want to make sure people understand, and we'll cover this in the charts in a couple minutes, there are reasons to understand the volatility going on right now that we could have hit another support level. Let's keep going on, though. This is the article I think gives us a very good picture of what's happening, especially when it comes to ETFs. Now, something you should know, U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs returned to net outflows yesterday. So if you just read that headline on the surface, you're going to think, oh, no, all right, well, all those institutional buyers that everyone promises is going to drive price the upside, they're selling, right? So here we go, Bitcoin going down. Let's get into the details, though, before we just freak out about that. All right, so the 11 U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, ETFs, saw total daily outflows of $13.62 million on Tuesday. All right, so net $13 million got removed. That is something to be aware of. It's not a lot of money, but it's some. returning to negative flows after 5 straight days of inflows. All right, so we had a bunch of inflows during this whole more bullish process, but it's now back in the negative. Let's get back into the article right now. Let's see here. Grayscale's GBDC saw net outflows of 32 million. So Grayscale saw 32 million get lost. Bitwise, which lost 6.76 million, according to social value data. But here's the kicker. On the other hand, BlackRock's IBIT had $14.12 million worth of inflows. Fidelity had 5.4 million inflows. Van X Bitcoin Fund received 3.5 million. And ARK Invest and 21 Shares reported 2.48. So, yes, there was a net negative 13.6 million outflows. And that's what people are going to look at and be a little freaked out about. But I want you to notice the reason for it is because of that right there. Grayscale, GBDC, they lost 32 million yesterday, but everyone else seemed to gain. And I'm wondering how many of these people actually took their money out of Grayscale because the rates are not as good. And they said this is a good opportunity on a dip when price is still below 70,000. Let's go and get over into BlackRock. Others may be waiting for price to go a little bit further to the downside, but that's what you do need to know is very important. There's more in this article that's really good, but even though we had a net outflow yesterday, you do see BlackRock, Fidelity, Van Eck, and ARK Invest, they actually increased. There were people buying on their exchanges. What does that tell me? Where we currently are is a level of some people want to sell because they're bearish, but others want to buy. It means this is a potential very strong support level. Let's keep going on, though, and look at what else is important here. Now, the price drop that came despite a Tuesday report from Standard Chartered predicting that the top cryptocurrency could hit its all-time high in August, followed by an increase to 100,000 by the time of the U.S. presidential election in November, right? So that was something I believe T. Shroom covered on yesterday's show. Standard Chartered is predicting new highs by August and 100,000 by the time we get the election. So very, very bullish prediction. Here's what a lot of people maybe didn't get and didn't hear from what Standard Chartered said about their overwhelming long-term and short-term perspectives. Long-term, 100,000 by November. However, in a least likely scenario, meaning I guess they're saying they don't think that it's going to happen, but if it does happen, of the U.S. President Joe Biden stepping out of the election race, Bitcoin, we didn't really want to say it, but Bitcoin prices could further drop to the range of 50,000 to 55,000, Standard Chartered forecasted. All right. We're going to get into the charts here in a second, but what does that mean? What are we kind of breaking down with the Standard Chartered scenario? Everyone's focusing on their upward prediction of saying, hey, we're going to hit new highs in August. We might see $100,000 before the election season. What does that mean, though? Well, guess what? They're even saying we don't necessarily have to go straight up from here. In fact, if we see CP Man, the Democratic nominee, decide to pull out of the race, you could even see uncertainty and fear bring Bitcoin's price back down to 50,000 to 55,000. I don't know if I necessarily think we have to do that, but it's something to be aware of that it's not out of the cards. And in fact, even though I am not necessarily ready to make that hardcore prediction as if I'm going to sell all my Bitcoin at current prices and wait to buy back in, I think there's a possibility here. Let's go look at the charts and see what is happening with more in-depth analysis here. Now, as I said, we're kind of still holding the 60,000. Even since we've been talking here, we have watched on the hourly chart, Bitcoin is looking like it's making a little bit of a bounce right here. Not a heavy amount of volume on the 1 hour showing this bottom, but I will show you if you go back and look at previous places where we have seen corrections, you'll get some heavy volume on the first couple, and then as it keeps going on, the volume seems to teeter off. In fact, we actually saw a great case of this way back here, back in May, where we saw some heavy volume on the first bottom, came back corrected, saw different increases, but you're going to notice actually this one right here. Sorry, let's go this one. This one and this one. Those two bottom positions actually did not see a heavy amount of volume because the price had been suppressed in those areas for a long time. So even right now, I'm looking at this and saying this is a spike in volume as we hit what maybe was a bottom position. It's not the highest in the world, but this is actually pretty common when you've been bottoming out recently in a similar price action. Let's go back out to the daily chart. I'm going to show you some signs of strength, and then we'll get into what could be wrong and why Bitcoin could go lower. We continue to hold this daily strong level of support where every time we get down in here, yes, we have some wicks that drop below, but this has seemed to be very strong support since back here on June 24th. It continues to uphold. It also was the take profit suggestion here from Lux Algo from a sell order way back on the 14th of June. So we're going to continue to watch that and say, you know what, that is still looking bullish. If you take a look at our oscillators here, there are signs of somewhat strength, but we could see corrections coming. We did reject on the RSI right here on 45, but there's still a lot more room to the upside for that one to go. We do have a little bit of a fake out on the MACD where we were going to cross bullish, ended up rejecting, but at the same time, we're still moving pretty heavily to the upside as far as histograms. It's more bullish than it is bearish. And then, of course, here on Lux Algo, despite the fact that we have a small correction here today, if we get a massive pump, like if for some reason Bitcoin price shoots back up to 63,000, that will correct. We did get a buy signal on the daily chart with a green reversal, bullish momentum, and positive money flow. So while volatility is still definitely in the cards, you still see some reasons to be optimistic on the daily chart. When you start to drop down towards the 4-hour, again, very strong support in this level. There is a take profit right now down to about 58,700. We also would see a wick come back down to where we would just wick the other day on the 24th of June, back to around 58,300. Right. So let's keep that in mind. In fact, if you even looked at high block and zoomed in here for a second, this is the liquidations chart. You're going to notice we had taken out this morning with this last dip. We took out actually a very significant level of long liquidations, but technically this kind of zone doesn't start getting boring until where? 58,500, kind of right back there to where we just were a couple of weeks ago. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the charts. But when we're talking about the longer term perspective, if we end up losing this support level and if we start to drop back down, yes, we have a massive level of support down here at 50,900, give or take. You're going to see this very strong order block. In fact, even when we zoom out here on high block, let me go out here and take a decent look. You're going to notice while we do have a pocket that kind of ends here on 58.5, it starts to get more exciting until about 55,000. And then there's this big blank where you really could drop all the way to 50,000 before you absolutely have to go back to the upside. I'm not predicting for certain that's going to happen, but I want you guys to know based off this liquidity, we could stop here at 60,000. We could come all the way down to 55,000 and make that look interesting. We even could drop all the way to 50,000. But I do believe the strong support there, I don't have any reason to believe we drop below that level. I've seen several analysts predicting this could happen. And you know what? I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I am going to say at the moment, I still am looking at this longer term perspective using Lux Algo and using analysis that I've been using for a while now based off of news and sentiment. 60,000 range still remains a very strong level of support. It's something I told you guys to watch out for way back in March. I said, do not be surprised if we trade for the next couple of months through till August in this tight range where the majority of price action stays above 60,000 and below 72,000. We're going to have some wicks and candles below, but as a whole, the majority of price will stay up here. Well, once again, we see the price down towards 60,000. We're seeing some buying pressure start to come in again, especially when you're looking at these lower time frames and you're seeing all the support and you're seeing the buy signals come back in. I still think that 60,000 is a good buy spot. So anyone asking, Tim, what's your suggestion? Should we be buying right now? Should we be waiting? If you have DCA money and it's part of your DCA strategy to buy today, I believe any purchase close to 60,000 is a good one. Is there a chance we drop closer to 55 or 50,000? Yes, there is a chance. I'm not going to lie to you and say that there's not, but I will say the probability is still not extremely likely in my thoughts. I still told you guys the other day, even when we were rallying, expect volatility to come in with all of these Mt. Gox rumors. Sure enough, we saw a rally in price. We're now seeing a dip in price that removed all of those gains. When people are uncertain, when people do not know what's happening, the price goes up and down. But ultimately, you want to know who's benefiting from this? You might be confused as a retail investor. You might not understand what's happening, but this is exactly what the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, the Van Ex, that's exactly what they want to happen. They want you confused so that they can buy the dips and you keep waiting for something that comes later on that actually ends up never coming into play, right? That is the play of the manipulative institutional whale. They're going to want to mess with your heads. I'm continuing to sit here and think man, right now there's still so many reasons to be bullish. I am not selling anything. I might look to trade. I might look for signs of weakness and trade Bitcoin. I'm not seeing that at the moment to enter a short position. But if we do lose and close a daily candle below 60,000, yes, maybe a short down to 55 looks to be in the cards. However, if you're asking about your long-term portfolio, should you be selling Bitcoin? Just think about how tragic it would be if you sold right here at 60,000 only for that to be the bottom. And then by the time you feel confident again, you're buying back in above 70,000. I've made those types of mistakes before, and it was something I wish I could go back and redo. Do not sell your long term portfolio. The bull market is not over. This is simply a season of intense volatility. But the ones who can be patient, the ones who can hold long term, they will be the winners. That's exactly what BlackRock is doing. In fact, they're using these dips as an excuse to buy more. I showed you in that article, their inflows are coming back in. So do with that information what you will. I'm not here to give you official financial advice, but I am here to help you think through your long term investment strategy. If you like this video, make sure to like it as well on the YouTube or Twitter pages. Also, hit subscribe and follow our channels for more content just like this. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Adios.